Hello. Good evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are. Everyone is having a pleasant Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? I've lost all track of the days. It was a public holiday here on Monday, which means my entire concept of time has been completely shattered. Hello, Harand, Connor, Matthias, Quacko, Julian. I hope your day, whatever day you think it is going well. Got a lot to be doing today in general on the game because it's nowhere near a game, but like I guess more targeted on the Lua stuff. It could be Monday. It's irrelevant because we're here and we're gonna do some C++. So where are we at? We got quite a lot to do. So last stream I started off strong, did the script runner. Some template metaprogramming, wasn't too bad. Then got a little bit stuck towards the end as I was trying to remember exactly how to drive Lua with some great help from you fine folks. We got there in the end, so that in our Lua scripting system, so if we can find some examples of this, tests interop. We can now pass in a vector, or we can construct a vector within the script, and that is backed by our C++ class, right? So that is vector here. And so we're pretty pleased with that. It creates a new table, and it sticks 3 floats in there, and then we can access them via the XYZ, and this is all kind of internally wired up for us. So we have some interop. We have an interop C function, or like a pure function, like not a class, so I guess a free function with a very, very specific signature that the Lua machine understands, and we can associate this with the construction of a vector. So when when the Lua interpreter says, yes, I'm creating a vector 3, it will call this function. This will pop some arguments off the stack, construct a new object, stick them in, register those for XYZ, bish bash bosh, job's a good one. Now, this is very well and good. The next thing to do, there's a couple of things we need to do next, is we need to wire it up so that we can pass in and get out a vector 3 into the script, because at the moment it's kind of self-contained, so that's not too bad. That's just wiring it up into the get arg push arg, wiring it up into the set argument to get results, and then our script runner, because it's all templated, will just automatically pick that up and run with it, which is pretty sweet. And then I think subscribe to Prime. Thank you very much. The JJ100101, one of my personal favorites binary numbers. So yeah, we've got to wire that up so we can actually kind of better interop. That kind of completes the interop picture, so we can actually get the vector in and out, which means when we write a script to say define like the logic of the level, we can say, here's where your new camera is, here's where your new barrel position is, or whatever, and then we can hand it over to the C++, which does the rendering. Does get result assert or throw if there is no result to get? Yes, it ensures that, so which will throw under the hood, that there's nothing to get, and then it also ensures that the thing you've asked for is indeed the thing at the top of the stack. So that should cover it, I think, in most situations. I don't know what we're going to do for custom types. I guess is table, and then we will check if it's got those elements. I haven't quite thought that far ahead. I'm kind of working on quite wide contracts for this, because I could envision a user providing a Lua script to control a level. So I'm going to treat it all as untrusted input. Not that I don't trust you guys. And then, so we're going to be quite aggressive with the error checking. So we've got to do that. We then need to wire up the meta table so that the sort of arithmetic operators kind of work with it. So we can add 2 vectors together in the script. Then that will call the vector 3 All right, operator plus and equals and stuff like that. So we kind of need to wire all that up, which means building no, it's not quite a C API, but I guess it presents itself as a C API, like free functions with that very specific signature that we can wire up. The meta table has a bunch of entries in it for like dunder, EQ, dunder add. I can't remember all the runes that you need to draw in the sand, but if you draw those correctly, you can summon these. So that'd be quite cool. And then I think it was mentioned to me last time, we probably want a bit better debugging within Lua script. We will probably want to at least be able to dump the Lua stack, because if there's an issue, we're going to want to be able to inspect that. So what I was thinking was having effectively some sort of formatter for a Lua script. So when you format it, stood format, stood println, whatever, the thing it will print is the stack. So then that way, if we throw an exception, we can basically format ourselves with it. And then when the exception bubbles up and we eventually print it out, it'll be like, here was the Lua stack when bad things happened. Now, that's pretty easy to do because all we basically have to do is this. However, I'm going to ask maybe that you bear with me for a slight self-indulgent detour. I want to rewrite the formatting for our little game because everything at the moment has to do this miserable specialization. Hey, AC. I'm sorry if the bot told you late. I haven't actually checked. I assume it fired off. That's right, we've not restarted media notifications. Is there? Maybe I should have clicked the button sooner. How do you stick at a project for so long without getting burnt out? The answer is in the chat. Stream it. It is a great motivator for me to have to show up twice a week and make progress on something and try and be entertaining and engaging with it and talk semi-knowledgeably and make progress. If this was not done live, I would have probably given up on it by now and moved on to something else. But the fact that we have a reasonable audience for this, I mean, even if we didn't, even if it was just like 1 or 2 people, the fact that people are getting value out of this, is a motivator for me to keep doing it. I'm not saying that is the solution to anyone's motivation problems. If you're struggling to finish a project, doing it live might not be the solution, but for me, definitely. Yes, I work on this project. I've said this before, and but I'm happy to kind of re-emphasize it. The first release of the game, version 1.0.0, whatever we call it, I want every single line of code to have been written live, so nothing done off stream. Anything I do occasionally mess around with a few things off stream, and I always revert them or throw those changes away. So when we start again, we start off exactly where we left it from the stream before. So every single line will be written live, but post-release bug fixes and stuff like that, I will probably have to rattle through reasonably quickly. So depending on how we launch it and where. So my sort of semi-realistic goal is to write every single line of code for the initial release live. I also maybe kind of want to do some of the more admin bits live as well, like, I don't know, setting up a Steam page, if we do that, or an itch.io page, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I want to try and take people through as much of the process as possible. It's super easy. What will be the role of Lua in the game? So currently we have a concept of a level, and the level defines the puzzle within it, so how the things interact with the player. It is quite tedious to encapsulate those in C++, because the iteration then means I need to compile and reload the game, and even if we had hot swapping, a hot swap will dynamic runtime DLL loading and whatever it is, hot swappable code, you still have to compile it, you still have to iterate it. What I want to be able to do is just have a bunch of Lua files which encapsulate all that logic, and then have some sort of file watcher, so the game, as soon as I save it, the game automatically reloads it and fires it up, and then potentially extend that to allow other people to write their own levels. I think that would be quite cool and reasonably trivial to do. Yeah, I think definitely like having a schedule is kind of super important for anything, right? Like even if you just do something professionally, like knowing like, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, I work on this thing, that's the schedule, right? There's an expectation that you show up and do that. So for me, this is Wednesday and Sunday, 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. ish. I work on the game and I answer questions and we chat and we hopefully have a good time. But yeah, I hope you'll indulge me today, because my other golden rule is to only write code that we need in the here and now. So not to try to speculatively write loads of code that we might not need, ignoring the physics engine that we're not using. But we thought we were going to need it, so I wrote it. Do you know what I mean? So we could just slap this around and keep going. However, there's a little bit of fun C++ I want to have a play around with, and it'll be something maybe a little bit new for people, and I think it will abstract away a lot of this, and then it'll be super easy for us to add new formatters for new classes and objects in the future. So I think I'm probably just going to do that. I can't imagine it's going to take more than half an hour, but we'll see. Famous last words. Have a little bit of play around with that, because I think it'll be a bit of fun, and then we'll get on to wiring and then we can write a Lua debugger or Lua stack dumper, which will then work with std format, will then work with stdinpr, and will then work with exceptions, our exceptions. And then we can crack on and wire up vector3 to get it in and out of Lua, and then we're pretty much done apart from a little bit of metatable NOS. And then that'll be like 6 streams time, then we can go back to, we'll be done in 6 streams, and we can go back to writing a game. Okay, so the problem I have with this is that it is gross. Right? I'm a huge fan of C++ like 20 and 23 std format, std println, as you know. Like it's up there with ranges with some of my favorite features. This is gross. Like having to write this every time to specialize a struct in the format, like in the standard with your type. Do this, which we never need, and I'm going to assume we're never going to need, and that's going to be part of the simplification, and then write this for every single one is a bit of a pain. A few years or so. If people are still enjoying it and we're still having fun, then why would we not be doing this in a few years' time? I would like to do another project after this. I think streaming is just a thing now for me. So let's do eSource. I don't think I have do I have utils? Okay, we need to clean up these files as well, but yeah, what are you gonna do? So I'm gonna have a formatter, right? Because let's write some code. I'm probably going to need a namespace, although we're not going to need it straight away. Hash include format. Okay. Basically, the thing is, right, here's the thing. This whole struct looks very similar every time we write it, okay? Okay, and that means, in my mind, it is ripe for being a problem that should be solved with a template. So let's just take this across here, right? The way std formatter works is that std format, when you give it a type, which it itself is a template, will look in std formatter to see if there's any specialization of the type you've given it, and all the default types, if I find it. So std formatter exists for all the types that you know and love. Okay, all the built-in types, right? Chrono, priority queue, stack, ranges, vector of bool, plus all the default integer types, strings, basic standard specializations. They all exist here. So it's just pattern matching, right? When you say I want to format a thing, it will go and look up that formatter, and the standard has already defined those for you. we do not talk about vectorable, indeed. If you want to know why, you should definitely look up why vectorable is a horrific mistake. I think it's one of those things that's universally been decided was a bad idea, but now we can't go back on. Anyway, premature optimization, right? So anyway, what you can do is you can basically say, hey, look, when you're looking to format something, here's how you do it for this type. So if I give it vector3, it will find this, it will then call this grand. But the format really is, there's a little bit of class-specific logic here, but a lot of this stuff is kind of the same, right? So if we have something like, we'll take class T, struct formatter, right? So this is our internal formatter. Put those in here, okay. That should definitely range as begin. Then all this disappears, right? And then we should be able to do okay. There's some extra when would you use a namespace over using a class or a struct? Namespaces are just a way of grouping things together to avoid conflict, like name conflicts. So you access things via a namespace. It's a way of scoping things. Structs and classes are objects. They have semantic meanings within the language. They are constructible, addressable, potentially copyable. They form an address, right? So yeah, you could basically argue like what's the difference between like using structs and classes and functions maybe, and then that's a kind of design choice that you need to make based on the problem you're trying to solve. AC has just realized, has just found the horror, has just found it. I don't know if there's a one word. Is there so there is you can format void pointer, but you can't format T pointer, if I remember correctly. You have to cast it to a void pointer or provide a specialization of it. Anyway, so we need to constrain this a little bit further later, but the idea is now that, hey, we can just do with something here, right, with T, okay, and then through template sort of instantiation, it will try and create a formatted T, which will then provide the overload, which will then provide these methods. So, blah, 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 so that's fine. So I guess the question is like, what do you put here, right? I want something very simple, something to. So hang on, let me just vector3 gubbins here. So that's. Oops. So this is going to get a type const ref to a type T. What I want to do is something like object toString, right? So now, okay. Now, any object that I provide with a toString method will instantly be formattable. Okay, so we could go up to vector, and we will do that in a second. We will basically turn this to a toString. And that means the vector itself has the ability to convert itself to a string via a member method. But that will kind of, as long as we include this file, will automatically transfer itself through to the formatter. So we kind of get, by any class or struct having a toString method will instantly be printable, which I quite like. There's an issue here though, is that, where's a good example of this? It won't work for enums, right? So for the moment, we can provide a specialization of an enum, okay, which is fine, and then print that. But you can't add a method to an enum, right? You can't have an enum toString. So in some cases, right, what we need to be able to do is actually provide a free function toString and call this. and then it will call into that. So again, we can make anything printable by also providing a free function that knows how to print it. So the idea is that if we can just enable our objects, our classes, our structs, our enums, to be able to convert themselves to a string, we can then, for free, print them. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. But we need to do something to solve this issue here. So it shouldn't, I don't think anything, I think toString is quite safe to add to your methods. I don't think there's anything in the standard that would conflict with, and if it did, would there be a issue because it might find two formatters? I don't think any of, what I'm trying to say is I don't think any of these built-in types have a toString method on them, which I think is fine, apart from maybe file system. I think that's just string, isn't it? This isn't until 26 anyway. Yeah, it's just string. So I think we're okay. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. So the question is now is like, how do we solve this? And I want to use something, because I was playing around with something similar to this on a separate project to kind of figure out how, because I wanted to learn a bit more about something. There's this concept called a customization point object, or CPO, and we can basically use that to selectively call one of these two depending on which it has. Yeah, but we can do it without reflection. We can do it right now with the CPO, and I'll show you how that works. Because also what you have to do is you have to especially for this one, you have to be careful around ADL, argument dependent lookup. So we can inhibit that with the CPO, and that's a lot of acronyms. And I'll kind of go through what all that means now. I am not a language lawyer. I will go through as much of the standardese that I can remember and try and explain it. Do call me out if it doesn't make sense. Okay, so effectively what we want to do, let's build this from the ground up, right? But CPOs is effectively how ranges are currently implemented. It's the only way to implement ranges as given the current wording in the standard and the current functionality available. It doesn't mean they will always have to be. But potentially, yeah, so ranges, which I'm quite a big fan of, use this technique in order to find the correct methods to call on the objects that you pass in. So template cast T concept like has string has to string member equals requires TA and then if I can get this right, I want a.toString. So the concept is that it has an a.toString method, and this results in something that is stood convertible to a stood string. Okay. So, So that's the first concept, right? So concept is a way of constraining templates in C++, and the concept that I want here is that this concept will only match, will only pass, will only allow something through if, oh, hang on, what have I done now? What's a dot, don't know where that's crept in from. There is a stood to string, I think that's where it's gotten confused, but that shouldn't matter, there you go. A.toString. So I want to be able to constrain a thing given it has this, right? It has a toString method which produces something that I can convert to a string. It doesn't have to necessarily be a string. It probably will be a string. It could be a string view if the data is static, I guess, or a const char star. It doesn't really matter, but a thing that looks like a string, okay? And then the other one is like has free object has to string 3, right? And that equals requires TA, and this would be to string A, right? Is stood convertible to stood string. Okay, so these are the two concepts, right? Okay, and we want to basically say we'll probably want to prefer this one because it is more specialized. You know, as part of the class, it probably needs access to private members. We should prefer this if both are provided, because we should handle the case where both are provided, or we should handle this, or it's not a match and you won't be able to instantiate this template. Sine on you go, and then it'll probably be an error somewhere. So those very much should be namespaced correctly. All right, can I? The script. I just want to just. Let's see if this builds with what we've got so far. And I want to update my terrible build system to understand the concepts. Is it concepts? It is. And if I misspelled something else. Convertible. Let's just get this a blending. G. And let's just comment this out for them, because it's not going to work for us right this second. I've been a Vim user since university, so that's quite a few years now. I wouldn't say I'm particularly good at it, but I do have like miserably ingrained muscle memory that makes it hard for me to use anything else. Okay, right. Look at that. All the errors are gone. Okay, so we've got. I really don't like the formatting of this concept, but I sure, clang format, sure. Okay, so now before here we want to do. I really don't want anyone to be messing around with this, so I'm going to kind of signify that with an embedded namespace. Let's do struct to string CPO. Which namespace have I closed off? Oh, I see. Sorry, I didn't read the other part. So CPO, customization point object, is a semi-regular, copyable, const invocable functor. Whatever, it's bullshit. Is what it is. It's an object. It's basically a const object that you can invoke. You can call as a function effectively, and why will make sense in a second. I don't know if like concept doesn't like. I don't think you need to mark. I don't think a static concept makes sense because this is not instantiating anything. This is just providing the definition of a concept in the same way that you can't have a static template. It doesn't make any sense. It's just a thing there that's to enable either code gen or pattern matching. No, not pattern matching. Do you know what I mean? Like template resolution. It's just a monoid in the category of endo functors. Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty much it. Okay, so basically, what we want is something like has to string member, right? So templated on the concept. So this means this template will only be instantiated if this concept matches. So this template will only get instantiated if it has a two-string member on it. Auto operator t obj const string. Okay. Return. I've seen it. Don't worry. Obj.toString. Okay. And then template. I think we have to do class T and then do requires not has toString member T and has string free T. Okay. And then this is basically the same as this. And then we can do return to string obj. Questions? So std function is a type erased function pointer, right? It allows you to encapsulate and remove the type but still be able to call it back when necessary. A callable thing. It's useful for shoving in like lambdas and stuff like that. There it is potentially heap allocated because the nature of type erasure. Not necessarily. It might have some sort of small object or small buffer optimization. I don't think concepts and std function they're kind of orthogonal concepts in my mind. Like one is the runtime capture. One is a sort of a type erased function pointer, and the other is a way of restricting templates. There is no reason. I just prefer class because it's less typing. I think we established last time that class and type name are interchangeable, and the only time it makes a difference is if you're using template parameters, which I very rarely use. So I think you're kind of okay with class or type name. Some people use them semantically to say I'm expecting a type, or like a non like a built-in type or a custom type, I guess. But I'm not that bothered. No discard means it's a compiler error to ignore the return type to ignore the return object of a function. So that's part of your interface, right? It forms part of your API. So do you think that what you're returning is so important that it cannot be ignored? Is the question. And then that's kind of, I don't know why your IDE is kind of enforcing that. I would say you should be, like all these things, you should be kind of selective in when you impose restrictions, but I couldn't say. Okay, so what we have now is a struct, which if we were to instantiate it, we can call it like a function, and we can selectively take. And if we pass in anything with a toString method, it will call toString on it. And if we pass anything with a free toString method, we will pass that into it. So the final piece of this puzzle is inline const expr auto toString equals toString CPO, and I've realized I've put that in the wrong place, so that won't help my explanation at all. So this here, I guess it's kind of like a singleton because it's inline. This will always, wherever you include this in the code, you will always get the same instantiated toString object, okay? And the reason you do this is because C++ has this thing called ADL, argument dependent lookup, or like Koenig lookup. It has like an alternative name, and it was required to implement certain parts of the standard. Like, it was a mechanism to make certain parts of the standard work. The classic one being something like, hello world, because this becomes what, like, operator std out hello world, but it doesn't necessarily know that this operator lives in the std namespace. But what ADL allows you to do is it allows you to look into the namespace of the arguments you've given it and search within those namespaces for a matching function. So it can then find the std cout, the std operator left shift, bit shift left. It's a little bit complicated. I won't worry too much about it. Basically, it enables the language to widen the search for a matching function. The problem with this is that it's a little bit unruly. Not unruly, it's a little bit obtuse of what goes on, and you don't get a lot of control over it. It will just find a function with the right name, but it doesn't really allow you any like further control on what the shape of that function is. So what its signature is, what it gets, what it returns, stuff like that. So by and large, most people don't really like ADL. When Eric Niebler developed ranges, he wanted to do it all without using ADL, which is kind of what a lot of the standard already used, I would say, up until that point. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something like util to string obj, right? So what this does is, because this is going via an object, okay, to find a function call overload, the language says that should not participate in ADL. So by using a CPO, apologies for the acronyms, by using a customization point object, you can inhibit ADL, and then that gives us this super nice customization point, right? This gives us to say, hey, do this in this case, do this in that case, if I want the other. So this is how like std ranges swap works. It will automatically find if there is a swap method that's defined for that class, or if there's a free one that's more specialized, or fall back to the std swap if needed. So it's kind of a whirlwind tour of what I'm doing, and this is kind of why I've wanted to do it for a while, because I think it's quite interesting. But basically, the high level is that we can construct an object that allows us to perform different things based on concepts, and then now this should all kind of fit together. I think the only thing we now need to do is we now need to requires so template class T concept like can format equals requires TA, and then this should be in fact, I think it's going to go here. So this needs to require that utils util game util to string a gives you a std string. We don't even need it to be convertible because we know that we return that. So now we should be able to have. Otherwise, everything you try and format will try and go through this template specialization, and it'll get grim. Okay, let's see if we can. Oh, hang on, I still need to special. It still needs to be specialized on T. Why does that not work? Oh, convertible 2. Apparently I do need convertible 2. Interesting. Interesting. I did not know that. What am I doing? I am indulging myself in improving our formatting in theory. So yeah, okay, so this is the final piece of the puzzle now. So this will only reify itself, will only instantiate itself if we can format it based on the rules of our CPO. Okay, let's go and test that super quick. So in theory now I can take a vector and then I can yoink this and then const explorer, I think so. I think so. Auto to string const string, and then do const explorer auto vector 3 to string const string, and then just return stud format, get rid of all that. Whoa, 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 what onto my code? Okay. No, you don't miss a lot. I'm kind of just tidying up some of our formatting code. Change the wrong header file. Get on build time. Blah, blah. This is where I sack it off and go, this is a waste of time and we've not done any Lua yet. But I have been saying for a while I wanted to do this, so I thought today was a good chance. Oh, come on, give me the first. Just give me the first error. Come on, just give me the first error. Or give me any of them. Right. Can this not be const explorer? Are you sure? Okay, it's not const explorer yet. Fine, that's easy enough to do. We'll just make that inline, and then we'll do toString. Get rid of that. Yeah, I don't know if you've got incomprehensibly long errors on your bingo card, but you can cross that off. I will try and go back over the concept convertible bit in a second. I want to kind of get this figured, sorted out first, and then actually make some progress. But I will try and circle back to that. Past is not a member of. I saw the error. I saw it. I've seen it. Past members formatted part-time. Come on, just give me the actual. Where in my code is the problem? I don't care about your code. Where in my code is the problem? Rush from line 32. To be where I want to believe you. Line data H. This is probably where we're invoking it, right? So yeah, it doesn't like invoking this. Okay, fine. Where have I gone wrong? Let's have a look. Pass, CTX, that's fine. This inherits from my formatter with the T const object. Call u2.string. Let me just try and narrow this down. It shouldn't conflict though. You should still be able to. This shouldn't be so. It shouldn't prevent you from still handling your own overrides. I think. If it does, then we're going to throw this away and get on. I just assume this would work. It says pass is not a member of the formatter compile time pass format. Control failure was caused by control reaching the end of a const eval function. That's a new one. I've never seen that before. Oh yes, you're right. I bet I'm going to need to include this. It's fine. We'll get there. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. So see reference to class instantiation. So format is 64 and 51. And then 51. Yeah, it was the best of errors. It was the worst of errors. Yeah, I have not configured Nightbot other than just installing it. So if it gets on your wick, I do apologize. Getting there. I think a lot of these are just now missing the include for the formatter. So why is it saying pass is not a member of formatter? This is the bit I don't understand. Let's Russian plane. You're right. Sorry, that is more Dickens than Shakespeare. Apologies. For compilers are blind, but compilers cannot see. How about that? Bit of Merchant of Venice for you. I think we're down to just like one Grim Error now. Box shape. I think it's just mixing. I think it's just missing. I think it now doesn't know how to format. So all this will go away when I convert all of these, but I just want to get it working first to test it. Looking good. Nah, crushed it. See. Well, I thought it was going to take half an hour, and we're nearly an hour in, so that was ambitious. No, I think you should include formatter where you want to do the formatting rather than like preemptively in things that are formatted. That would be my view. Like, you have to hash include println to print, right? So you should also have to include the formatter. Okay, let's just see, because obviously that we changed this to this and that. So let's just see if this fixes it. And while that's chugging through, I think we should quickly go to vector3 and write a test for this. So let's do vector3 tests. So let's do toString. So we're going 1, 2, 3, const auto str equals v1 dot toString, assert equals, is that str, and then what was that, x 1.0, y 2.0, z 3.0, something like that. It'll tell us when we're wrong. Nice. Thank you, Ruben. I appreciate it. Passkey was our stricter friends. That's our acquaintances. I want to do another self-indulgent stream sometime where I try out modules. The module support wasn't quite ready yet, or where I wanted it to be before I started this project. I'm not sure if I'll have the time to kind of go back and retrofit it in. It'll be a lot of work. I imagine it'll be a stream or two, but it might be worth it. It's kind of friends without benefits, right? That's kind of the point. Sure. That sounds like my experience with C++. It's both good and bad. Friend zoned, yeah. Like, I prefer acquaintances, but yeah, sure. Oh Jesus! I should just. I was so angry, I nearly knocked my water over. I should just read the bloody log line, shouldn't I? I'm glad there's over 100 people here watching me fail to read. Right, nailed it. And then I just for the sake of vector, just to test that code, because I can't bother to set up a whole new test framework just for it. So let's do standard format v1. I also hate the fact that it's v1, so let's just change that as well. Okay. Why? Have I got? Don't. I know what the issue is. I don't even want to. I don't even want to know. Don't. I'm not even looking at the chat. Okay, right. I'm pleased with that. I think it is worth it. What I'm going to do now, though, is nope, not that. Is I am going to go through and change all these super quick. I know it's a pain, and I know it's a little bit grim, but then it's done. And then, because I don't want a dual system where half of these are using the old way and half of them, and then all this new stuff's using the new way. So I'm just going to blitz through and just change all these super quick. Let's just do an initial commit up first of the formatter. So commit add formatter CPO, kind of. It's not quite the CPO, but oh, it's good enough. Yeah, in and out, 2 streams later, job done. Okay, so it's SG. It's the formatter. So here we don't know, we no longer need this. This can just be a free function. I believe it should just be able to exist within our namespace. So we can move this down and then basically make this auto to string. So string. I get rid of all this chuff. Not that. That's not chuff. Don't need that. Don't need that. Boom, done, one done. Well, actually, do we have a TLB entry? We do. Let's move that over to the CPP file. Okay. Nailed it. Okay. Yeah, I might Vim macro some of this up. CPO is customization point object. I will try and go over that again at the end, but I'm kind of keen that I promised the masses Lua, and we've done no Lua yet. Right. I would actually probably prefer these to be free functions because I'd rather. Oh no, this can't be anyway. Never mind. Okay, so now just need format. Okay, done. Nice. Let's just check it still blends as we go along. It might be missing some of the format things if they are sort of formatted as a child, but it all disappears as we get through it. Why underscore and toString but not stack trace? Oh, because I can't spell. The event auto to string constant string. Key event. Don't think we'll be doing. Might not be doing the meta table today, but I think we can at least wire the ins and the outs of it up, and hopefully maybe start some of the debugging stuff, which was the point of all this in the first place. Auto. But hopefully, you can kind of see how this code now starts looking a lot nicer. Like it just the object just knows how to serialize itself to a string. Again, I would prefer it as a free function in most cases because I think serialization this is effectively a serialization method, right? And I would prefer objects are kind of ambivalent to how you serialize them, because just because I want it as a string now doesn't mean I want it to a binary string later, to a string later. But for the sake of simplicity and kind of making progress, and the fact that I need access to the innards, sure, we're just gonna accept that. Class event. Take one of these. Take one of these. Take one of these. Stick it there. I'm glad I was so vigilant in adding all these formatters. It makes refactoring it a real fun task. Someone pointed out in a short that I have a habit of when I'm pressing, well, caps locks I've remapped it to escape, but to go out of insert mode, I have to tap it like several times, and now I realise it's an actual really weird habit I have. I just did it then without even realising. Do it. Yes, it was lazy get inside near him, so I have it mapped to leader LG, and it pops it up, which is quite nice. Okay. I think we've lost about 15 people, but it's okay. It'll all be worth it. It'll all be worth it. I probably want to yank that to a buffer, right? Because there's so I need it so often. Yeah. Oh, I've got two. Interesting. Okay, so I've got the mouse button state. So that needs to be a free function. So it needs to be auto to string const. Nope, not const. Mouse button state. Obj. And then this has to have this. Get all this. Don't need that. Do need that. No, we've written our own C++ wrapper around Lua, so we'll get back to that in a minute. Questions? Keep me distracted me from the misery that I've set upon myself. If I got include missing in else event. Good spot. Hash include format. Hash include. I mean, I prefer snake case because it's what the standard uses, apart from the one or two places where it doesn't. I think it does have like a Pascal case on something. Isn't there like an init with an uppercase I or something? But I prefer snake case because it's more in line with C++. Like the rest of the code you see, by and large, it's a preference, but I don't care too much. Scrum and Agile, I don't. If you find a process that works for your team and enables you to deliver work within, like, track and deliver the work you need to do within the time frame that you've said, then that is the correct choice. I'm not a big fan of like rigid dogma of like thou shalt scrum this way and stand up for this amount of time and do this and do that. That doesn't mean it can't work. I've yet to see anywhere where it does like the full with all the ceremonies provides all the benefit that it's touted to. That doesn't mean it's impossible. I quite like just a Kanban board of here's a list of stuff we need to do, here's who's doing it, here's when we think it'll be done by. See if I can find it. It's somewhere in like this, yeah. Yeah, it's stood IOS base init. I don't know why that's uppercase, but it's a class. It's a class called init. With uppercase I. I knew it was in there somewhere. I knew I've seen it. But I'm telling you, it's straight in there. So yeah, haven't we all learned something fun today? I know, but it's funny that it exists. It's like statically, isn't it like statically initialized within your runtime to make sure that set up all the C out and C in stuff. But yeah, it's one to impress your mates with down the pub. Getting there. We are getting there. Free function? I don't really put anything else in here yet. Let's keep it civil. Where did I put it in, like B? Yeah, nailed it. Inline vector4 format. Std string. df obj dx and pretty sure that's correct. There used to be someone who showed up to, like when I first started doing this, every stream, and they would only ever ask one question, and that question was, is this pre-recorded? And then never say anything else. And I do often wonder what's happened to them. Yeah, this is true. Maybe I couldn't give him a satisfying answer. Why is this? Oh, it's because it's not comped. That's why. Got it. Right. We're getting there. We're getting there. Only like 10 more to go, and then we'll. I know, right? It's such a. It's a hot take. We don't. I'm not talking about data.data. Right now, I am refactoring the code that allows all of our custom objects to be formatted, i.e. passed to std format and std println. I've been meaning to do it for a while. It's a little bit tedious. I know it's not the most exciting, but I really want to do it so it's done, and then it makes it a lot easier to write that kind of code going forward. So yeah, that's what we're doing. And it's a little bit mechanical, so it does hopefully give me a chance just to chat a bit as well, which is always fun. Oh, I'm missing. Did someone point that out in the other one? B matrix 3. I think the last one was matrix 4. Oh my goodness. Oh. Have I run out of? Oh, absolutely gross. Well, I hate that. Will this work for the print function in Lua? So in Lua you can in the meta table I think you can put dundastr, which we will then patch through to our toString. So yes, it will work. You should be able to print it within Lua. That'd be a nice test to do. I'm using Telescope. I think it uses FZV for the file stuff under the hood. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. If I missed that in all the others. I've got this thing called data, which returns a span, okay? And then I need the actual raw data out of it, and std span's way of doing that is called data. But then I was sticking that in a variable called data. So there's just a lot of overloading terms, and it's getting a bit confused. So I just written this horrific code here. Let's go fix matrix 4, which has exactly the same issues. I don't know why I deleted the auto. I still want that. Alright, and this is going to be like that, and then okay. Well, the half an hour that I thought it was going to take is about to be an hour overdue. We're nearly done. We're nearly done. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's a powerful format string indeed. Okay, so cylinder shape. Cylinder shape. Okay, we're getting it. Don't need that. Do need that. I feel like if I keep reassuring everyone and saying I'm getting there, we'll get there. I think it's like 10 left. Not too many. Have I ever used header files as a way to easily define a function? I mean, normally we'd use header files to declare them, right? And then you would define them in a single translation unit because they can only be defined once because of the ODR. So yeah, I mean, that's literally the point of header files, is to kind of group your declarations together and literally like copy them around to various different translation units. It feels like an absolute age ago we were writing all this shader code. Wasn't that a fun time? Wow, it's pretty aggressive with the with this. So just throw. That's not what I wanted at all. Okay. I try to avoid macros where possible. I think the language is powerful and flexible enough that you can kind of remove most needs for macros. I think the only macro I've used in this whole thing is an X macro to make it easier to define the OpenGL functions. Did I miss that one? Thank you. Good spot. So yeah, I try to avoid using macros if possible. There's normally a better way. Like, you don't need to use it for line numbers or function names or anything like that anymore. There's stood source location. Yeah, by and large, I'd say most cases you can kind of get around without them. Oh, good point. Good point. I don't even need that, do I? Oh, good spot. Thank you. Thank you very much. But that is actually potentially one where we could optimize it to return a string view because it's convertible to a string and it's static data, but I'm just happy just to leave it for now. Yeah, it was in with one of the other enums. We'll find it. I'll try and find it in a minute. And by in a minute, I mean forget and not. But yes, good spot. Right, I've got to do me quats. I should probably do this in line just because it's more like the other classes. I have a consistent a consistent set of rules in my head of like when I'm making the member file functions and free functions. I am not articulating that thought very well. Do you have any suggestions on how to do object function variables naming better? I mean, it's kind of a bit of an art form, and I'm definitely not that good at it. I think descriptive, so that someone who's coming to it for the first time can get a sense of what they can expect from it. I really like there's this principle called the principle of least surprise. Okay, so at any given point, your code should do the least surprising thing at that given point, and I think naming goes a long way in setting up the expectations for that. I'm just not even no. Is that before or after you've ordered all your includes by length? Yeah, exactly. I think, and I'm not interested in getting into a language war and use the right tool for the right job. I would say quite a lot of the time JavaScript violates the principle of least surprise, and that's not to say C++ doesn't, but yeah, it's at any given point the code should do the least surprising thing, the principle of least surprise, which is why I try and live my life by. Yes, I have once embedded V8 into a C++ project for a video idea quite a while ago. It was okay. Like, V8's interesting. It's a really interesting project. It is incredibly complex, but I managed to marshal some C++ types to the JavaScript and kind of back again. It is a lot of work to embed JavaScript. I mean, there might be some lightweight interpreters or whatever, but if you're looking at V8, that is a beast or spider monkey, is it? That is a beast of a project. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, right? And it's a language a lot of people know, and there's definitely a lot of advantages to it. I think if you're doing it by yourself and you want scripting, you probably want, like, along with the principle of least surprise, you probably want the path of least resistance. I'm full of, like, idioms and adages today. Okay, right. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're down to like the last 7-ish. Have I got a frustum plane CPU file? I do. Right, okay, fine. Let's inline or to string frustum plane fonts frustum plane obj string no, what am I doing? We're getting delirious with all this, the heat in this office and all these shenanigans. Yeah, all about those shorts. Doing one a day at the moment. Just keep on coming. Great way to reuse the reuse all this sweet content we're producing. Right, sphere shape. Sphere shape, right, okay, let's just get rid of all that. Didn't want any of it anyway. Absolutely dead to me. So, great question. And how do I produce shorts? I recorded in OBS, and it, as well as like screaming the stream down the tubes to find people, it also squirts it out into a file on my hard drive. I edit with DaVinci Resolve, and I have a Fusion setup which takes the wide screen, whatever it is, 4K, or whatever I stream in 1080p footage, and duplicates it, scales it, transforms it, sticks the code above and me below, and then kind of I literally just drop in the file, and then it all goes into the vertical form like that. And then I use, because I have the paid version, I then do audio transcription on the whole video, which turns everything I've said basically into a long text file, and then I literally just read through it all. Well, actually, I skim read and I look for paragraphs that are, normally a couple of lines long, because that's normally where I've stopped to say something, and then I will just highlight the text and click a button, and it drops that into the timeline. And then I use a plugin which which automatically adds those as little formatted captions in the right place. So I can turn a whatever, like 2-3 hour live stream into 4 or 5 shorts in probably under an hour. So I've got a decent pipeline now, a decent process. So it means I can do almost a week's worth of shorts. I can do over a week's worth of shorts in an evening. So it doesn't take me too long to do now. But DaVinci is great because it's free. I mean, the free version is incredible, like for the price, which is free. So if anyone's interested in kind of getting into like the usual streaming game, I'm not an expert, but I've been doing it for nearly 3 years now, and I've made an awful lot of mistakes in those 3 years. I'm more than happy for people to reach out to me on Discord and ask questions. I know someone who's already has. If people want any advice or whatever, I'm happy to like review thumbnails or scripts or ideas, whatever. I feel like I've learned a lot and happy to give some of that back. Thank you, Queco. So yeah, if you are interested, it's fun. It is more work than you think it's going to be. Is all I will say. Way more work, and it's not for everyone. And streaming's not for everyone. And like any hobby, it's not for everyone. If you think it might be for you, I'm happy to provide some advice for what it's worth. A lot of my videos, I still get flops. Like, not every video I do is a winner. Oh. I lose subscribers from live streams. I discussed this before. It's just like just part of the game, right? Right. To string. What's that capital letter doing in there? We're not initializing cout. So I should be able to make this a string view because it is technically convertible, which would be nice. Bit heavy-handed on the deleting there. Here's an... I should be able to just return all these actually, shouldn't I? Ooh. Apparently I've been complacent and not handled all these. Space, I guess. Yeah, sorry, just catching up. Yeah. No, I'm just, you're right, it doesn't make any sense. I'm just, I'm tidying up something along. Good spot, good spot, good spot. Yeah, SV is just a literal, which just turns it into a string view. It's probably potentially not needed in this case, but it's there, and I'm not that fussed about changing it. Yeah, it's true. I'm not just live streaming, but again, I get it. Those people have different interests. People who watch the shorts don't watch the other stuff. People who watch the long form videos don't watch the other stuff. There's people who watch the live streams who aren't interested in the other stuff. So I get it, right? I get it. I'm trying to be all things to all people. Oh, look at this shortlist now. Oh, is it just down to the last two? And then we can quickly do something with Lua in 15 minutes to justify the title. Although I will change the title afterwards, so don't you worry. Rude. Started learning SDL2 with C++. Is that a good beginning for game dev? I think any way you start is a good beginning because you started, right? So you're already doing better than the 90% of people, as a random statistic, who have thought about making the game but never started. I don't know if it's the easiest start. It depends how, like, are you competent? How competent are you with C++? If you are also learning C++ as well as learning SDL, as well as learning game dev, that's a lot to learn. If you might be better off just picking one of those and focusing on it, like or picking up Unity or Godot or something like that to kind of bootstrap you into getting into doing the game dev quicker. But if you just want to learn and mess around and have fun, like, yeah, it's as good a place as any, right? As long if you're having fun and you're learning stuff and you're not too frustrated by it, then that's a good place as any. Would be my honest advice. Somewhere there, guys. Look there, last one. Oh, is it not for the... Okay, I made a mistake. Good spot. Let me go back and I will fix that in just a second. Inline to string. To string. I think I still need the formatter though if I'm formatting something else, which is fine. What's it? Oh, I just don't want to know. I just don't want to know. Well, they... Oh, was it for the... Oh, is it for the texture description? Oh, yes, you're right. Okay, so how am I going to fix this? This should be a to string for a const texture description obj, and that cannot be const. I will take that over here, and then we'll do put all those back, remove that, stick that there, stick that there, remove that, put these back, good spot. Yeah, sorry, I was in the throes of refactoring. Yes, I am. Because we use modern C++, we have access to format and println, which means we can provide our own custom formatter for our own types. It makes printing out stuff really nice. However, there was a lot of boilerplate for that, and for a while I've been meaning to go back and abstract it all and make it a little bit easier to work with. So we now have our own custom formatter class. So when you have to specialize to formatter, which is how it works in C++, we can actually derive this from our formatter, which we'll call internally toString. toString is what is called a CPO, a customization point object, which allows us to kind of selectively decide how we want to format things. So what basically happens is, if the object has a toString method, it will call that. However, if there is a free function called toString, then it will call that. And this basically allows us to do all the formatting we want by just providing toString methods, and they will just instantly work with format and println. Let's see if this works. Yeah, I'll get the game up in a second after we finish building it. That's a good point. Someone remind me. I suspect we have what is now effectively like a transitive format line data. So color. How many lines? I don't know how many lines of code I'd say for this. I'd have to go back through the Git history, but we'll see the Git diff in a second, and that'll give us an idea of what we've changed. It definitely doesn't like line data, so let's... Did I fail to save it? It doesn't. Why is it not like this? I've got the formatter. It's not. I really hope it's not a ordering thing. Ah, there you go. Found it. There he is. Uh, mouse button event. Is there like a top level event formatter? No. What was the object it was trying to build? It didn't like shader, it didn't like texture. Oh, we'll see how we go. We can stream a little bit later. Like I said, I really wanted to get this done. I have a new build, so mine's built with paper and hopes and dreams. It definitely doesn't like shader. So what's it doing in shader? Static assert failed. Why is that? I don't understand. Cannot format an argument to make T formatable require specialization. Yeah, but what is T? What is T? Shader line 50. Hmm. It should format the enums correctly. I'm pretty sure it will. And it should be able to see the toString for shader type, which means unless I guess ensure is going to need the formatter anyway. So let's just add it now. Oh god, this code. I mean, also the log's going to need it as well. ToString, not ToString obj. Yes, I do have a plan on how the Lua API will interact with the engine. We're going to provide interop between the objects that we want it to do, which I was hoping to do today, but I've kind of got a little bit sidetracked. Where have I ToStringed wrong? Help me. Where were we? We were shader. Oh, it's nearly like it's nearly there. It's nearly there. Right. Okay. Right. Mouse button event. So what does it not like about this? Blah blah blah. Blah. It's mouse button event. Okay. Fine. It really doesn't like this, does it? Which means it's probably the. It's the same problem. It seems to be when the class itself needs to use an enum. I'm pretty sure it works with enums. Key event. Oh. Sorry, I can always stash it. This would be the problem with key, right? So it's trying to call this. Can I do like, this is not what I want to do, but will this fix it? Is it because it's going via a function call? Should it access them? Check the header for the key event. I think it had some mangled includes. Okay, key event. I mean, I do need string. What is, yeah, no. So that's coming from there. I think this might be a transitive include. So we got key. That's not needed. Yeah, I feel these are particularly egregious error messages. Oh, it's literally stuck on like a couple of files. Let's find the first one. What's the first thing it's complaining at? So mouse button event. Pass is not a member of the formatter. It's not a type. Oh, hey, what's this? CTX undeclared identifier. Okay, mouse button of. Ah, here we go. This is. Again. It shouldn't matter because they are all the same, but yeah, let's just. Development. it's we're close. I can feel it. Look at this, we nearly compiled everything. Well, we can play now. Key event. Error. This is obnoxious. No, you can't really hide the template noise because it's just part and parcel with how you get. I have a Razer Huntsman Mini 2. Yeah, it's basically like here's as much. The compiler is like, the compiler thinks it's being helpful. It's like, here's all the information you need to fix your problem. I'm like, cool. If you could just like give me a little bit less though. So is the right? Let's try and break this down. Right. Okay, this pass key event. Doesn't like one of these. We can just, this is just the way you have to debug things. We just got to keep removing things until it works, then add them back in to find out the thing that didn't work. Right, let's try state. I think it's state. There's key state. These don't need to be passed. These could just be passed by value anyway, because they're just enums, so that's pointless. Is it because it's string view? This is my attempt to make it convertible to string. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes my mug is in the way. I try not to. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. I don't really I don't really understand. I'm not an audio engineer, so I kind of understand those words, but like, what is the end effect that you're hoping for me to achieve? Let's start there. How strange am I? Why? I'm not going to question it. Because it now works, and I really want to move on with my life. I might have to slow time, have a look about that, because that is kind of interesting. What is key event? So this I should be able to get this back to key. That is interesting. I remember writing that code, what, half an hour ago? Be like, oh yeah, we can make the string view now. It's because it's all convertible to string. Yeah, I don't know, like, audio is one of those things where I feel like there's a minimum standard that it's not annoying, like audio quality is kind of enough, and then I try not to, everyone's got their opinion on what good audio is, right? And I feel like I could spend ages trying to tweak things for one person, and one person like, oh, I don't like this. So I'm hoping, my view is that people aren't outright complaining that the audio is terrible, so I'm kind of probably just going to leave it as is. If there is a righteous uprising against certain settings, then of course I'll change them. Like I did change the delay slightly, but by and large, the level of comments I've had is minimal to suggest that the audio quality is at least passable. Noise lingers when I stop talking. I don't really, I mean, I can have a look at like noise gates and stuff like that, but it sounds all right when I cut up into shorts. I wanted to add lure because I thought it'd be fun, and I'm not sure if we're there. So let's just do... someone wanted to see the game. Let's just check this still runs after all that shenanigans. So this is what we've got so far. So we've got a 3D world and a board and some barrels. And this barrel moves with the camera, but only when you're looking at it. So if I move over here, it's not moved. And the aim is to get it into this other one, and then this should transport us to the next level, which this barrel now moves the opposite way to us, but only when we're looking. So if we move forward, it moves back. If we move back, it moves forward, opposite to left and right. And then again, the aim is it only moves when we're looking at it, and the aim is to get it into here, and then the game will... I didn't realize I had a third level. And then I should just redoing the same levels over and over again. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, let me have a... If there is a, I don't know, is there an option for that in OBS? I don't really... Advanced audio properties? Filters? I don't know. If I have time, I'll try and have a look at it, but I'm kind of keen to get this going. Right, so let's have a look at the diffs. It should be quite a lot of red. This is going to be a pretty gross commit, but at least we can back out of all of it in one go. Commit, refactor, formatting. I can discard that because I don't need that anymore. Add tests for vector format. Let's see. I'm happy to stream a little bit longer if everyone's happy to hang around for a bit. Let's see if we can. I don't want to do all the stack pushing printing now because I'm fed up with formatting. But I might see if we can at least get a vector into our code and out again. Yes, there will be a text rendering at some point. Yeah, I don't know, I might use, is it draw text? What, I've used that before. It's all pretty grim, but we'll give it a go. So I think I'm sort of half skimming the chat. Yeah, you are at this point not adding anything and just distracting people. So if you want to be here and contribute, that's fine. And I'm not really super strict on like managing what everyone's saying, but I think you are just deliberately trying to derail people. So I would ask that you don't. Yeah, we'll put in. Well, I mean, the level editor should be kind of, the code should describe itself because it'll be in Lua. We do have like a debug UI view. Yeah. We'll do a timeout. We'll do a 6-second timeout, and then if that doesn't work, then yeah, we'll take it further. Sorry. I'm trying to. I don't know any mods, so I'm literally just. I'm having to do this myself. I want the best for everyone. I like to try and see the good in everyone. Some people just want to talk. If they find this place a useful outlet, that's fine, but there kind of has to be some constraint and restriction to it if it's starting to affect other people. That's why we've had to ban people before. What a great question. If I was to go back and relearn C++, what would I do differently? I don't actually know, because I quite like the process I took. Because I went and did it professionally. I taught myself a little bit at university and I had to play around with it, but I went and worked with a bunch of really good C++ engineers doing interesting things with it, and I just kind of learnt from them, like through code reviews and stuff like that. So you learn so much by being immersed in like a professional environment, watching people live and breathe it day in and day out, and then giving you code reviews and advice and guidance. So yeah, that'd be my view. Okay, let's. What am I doing? Lua script. Yeah, I've been a professional C++ software engineer for about a decade, I think. And it doesn't mean I know it all. In fact, far from it. Look at how much I struggle today with some of the weird template stuff. And templates are just a facet of the language. You don't need to be an expert in it. Still make use of it. Kind of being aware of it and knowing that a lot of the code you use will be templated code, because like the standard library and generic codes is kind of enough to get going. Let's see if we can set an argument rather than having to end an argument. So const vector3 value. I choose to use the trailing return type because I wanted to see if I liked it. I wanted to give it, like a lot of things, my opinion of it was kind of fleeting and not really grounded in personal experience. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go and see if I like it on a reasonable sized project, which is, I'd argue this is slowly becoming. I kind of like it, and I find myself doing it instinctively a lot now. You don't have to do it. Where'd my header go? I have gremlins in this code. What is going on? All right. Yes, you can do dash auto, or you can omit it, and then the auto return type will effectively do the same thing. So then it will try and deduce the type, as has been pointed out. What did I do? Oh man, set argument. So here's where things get a little bit interesting, because I think I'm going to need the interop, right? Or something. Well, I need to recreate this, right? So can I do set argument value.x RZ. Scripting vector3 intro. Oh, I've already got it. And then do something like vector3 constructor state.get. Like, is that viable? Oh, it's blue, isn't it? My main is just auto main arrow int. So do we think, so we've got the free function wrapper around the vector which constructs one, and that will pop these arguments off the stack, and we'll create a new table and we'll set them and leave them on the stack. So I'm wondering, can I just push those onto the stack, the Lua stack, and then just call constructor? I guess there's only one way to find out. Where do I want to test this? I probably want to test this actually in Lua script tests, right? Have I been testing all of the arguments? I will find out when I test it. I'm trying to think whether it's part of Lua test, so I guess it should probably be part of here. Let's do this. The script function call vector3 arg v, and then we will do. How do I test the last one? I did print it. Okay, fine. Print v. Right here. Right. Hang on. The script tests. Right. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this done quick and then balance managing the stream as well. And I'll answer some questions in a second. So we want to do print v. Then I'll set argument game vector3 1.0 f 2.0 f 3.0 f. And then execute was execute numargs. There we go. Cert equals output. So 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 backslash n, something like that. No, I don't want to test vector3, do I? yeah, there's a few people trying to disrupt it for the rest of us. I would ask everyone to just ignore them and let me ban them, and don't in any way feed the trolls. This was inevitably going to happen, so. Okay, so. Why did the multiple args, multiple returns crash when that was working fine before? Oh, this does? Oh, this crashes. I've never noticed this. Look. We never get the okay after it. So we need to have a look at that. So why is that? So multiple function calls, multiple returns. What's going on here? Oh, that's why. I would expect. This is why we need the script runner. I've never used Emacs, so I don't really have an opinion on it. I don't think you have to manually converting array. I don't think really makes any sense to your question there. Like, you would give an array to Lua, and then in C++ you would start indexing it from 0, and from Lua you would start indexing it from 1. It's just the convention it has internally for how it calculates the address. Oh no, wait a minute. It's multiple returns, isn't it? Oh, it's still crashing. Let's see if we can figure out why. I don't need capture stood out there either. That's probably part of the problem. I think. Why is this test in such a weird state? Oh, why have I got an extra execute at the end? I think I've just... Sorry, I'm getting tired. I think I've just been wrong. There you go. Right. Okay. Somewhat... It's not really fair for people to come in and kind of put me off, I think, because now I'm finding it hard to concentrate. But here we are. I guess we just deal with it. Okay. Number expected got function. Just going to remove that for a second so I can see any, because the problem is that capture output does mask some useful information. I don't know how to. I'm trying to think what the best way of debugging this is. So let's have a look at the code. Yeah, the script. So does this leave the stack in where we expect it to be? So it pushes a new table, which should be the top of the stack, and then it pushes the number, sets the field, pushes the number, sets the field, pushes the number, sets the field. Is it the constructor that's causing it by calling an internal Lua function? Maybe. Yeah, I think that might be it. Maybe the chain number is 16. Maybe. Let's have a quick look. Before I go and have a bit. Yes. Right. Oh, and it's gone. Right. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to allow other people to kind of play around with it and write some levels. I think that would be fun. Yeah, this is a bit of a slog. This. Thank you for everyone who's stuck with me. I appreciate it. This is a bit more of a. Wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be this one, so I do apologise. But we're getting there. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. Apologies for the people who are trying to ruin it for everyone else. I guess we just don't let them. That's interesting. What? Why have I? Interesting. Okay. What? Why is? Oh, of course, because that should just catch. It's got all exceptions on. That's expected to throw. Let's turn it off. Here we go. Right. Sorry. Been a long day. What were we? F11 on this? F10? F10. F11. Shift. F11. F11. Sets those arguments. Yeah, it is that. Okay, it doesn't like that top of the state. I think this is a problem to fix next time when we dump the stack. I'm gonna comment this up as it is. I don't really like commenting like broken code, but I think we've done as much as my brain can probably handle today. So let's see. So commit initial vector 3 arg integration for stream 44. Push that up into the git hole and relax. Cool. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming along. I hope you had. I hope it was enjoyable. It wasn't quite what I envisioned. Well, it's exactly what I envisioned. It just didn't go on for as long as that. It just went on for longer than I thought it was. But hey ho. Yes, I'm gonna have to look at some auto mod stuff because a lot of this is happening on YouTube. But I think YouTube has some moderation tools built in. I think yeah. Oh, the template stuff doesn't get me down. That's just part of the course of doing templates. Like I was fully expecting it to be a little bit miserable. It's the yeah, we'll dump the lower stack next time, and we'll have a grand old time of it. So that'll be Sunday. Cool. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it. I did actually have a good time, and I'm glad you're all here to share in it with me. I will see you all hopefully on Sunday.